Before we go any further, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon, because without their help, none of this upgraded content that you be seeing would be possible. Over on the Patreon, you get exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming videos. You also get access to the Patreon only Discord server. Coming up soon, I'm going to be working on talking about other anime that I can't talk about here on YouTube, like say ReZero, Konosuba, and etc. I'm also going to start posting the scripts for video essays, and every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul. We also are going to open up the Patreon only Discord server to YouTube members at the $2 price tier, which also means that members will be seeing their name here alongside the patron. But with that being said, let's get back into today's video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, episode 268. And now that episode 268 is done in the books, we got a lot to talk about on this one. So obviously you got the big battle that takes place between Kawaki and the ninja assassin that shows up at the academy targeting Princess Kai. You also have the situation where Boruto and the other members of Boruto's generation are going around the academy defusing the paper bombs, a brilliant distraction meant to isolate Kai. And you have the revelation that the assassin might be somebody hiding within the mist, and there are a lot of signs pointing towards one character in particular. So now that we got my overall thoughts and impressions out of the way, let's go ahead and back things up and get into the actual review. So I like how the episode does start off exactly where the last one ended off. So there's a bit of a recap showing from a different angle Kawaki bursting into the infirmary and saving Kai, and you have the moment where Kawaki's looking out the window and Kai wakes up and she begins to start questioning Kawaki. And the reason why this kind of works is that this sets up the immediate back end of the episode where Kai puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that Kawaki was really a bodyguard. And so I thought that that does kind of show, if you go back and you watch Kai very carefully throughout the episode itself, she's dropping subtle hints as she's beginning to put things together, because she picks up immediately on the fact that Kawaki says, I'm going to be with you all the way into the end. She's watching the guy's mannerisms. The bells are starting to go off in her head, and she realizes at the end of the episode that she was the target of the assassination. And it just shows that for all the smiling and the kind-hearted nature stuff that she has, she's a very observant character. And it also goes back to something that's core to the Naruto franchise, which is it's the ability to see behind deception, or what Boruto's anime likes to say, it's the hidden meaning behind the hidden meaning. And that's something that Kawaki does not fully grasp, because Kawaki is starting to get little small bits and pieces, like this might be a distraction, this might be a distraction, but he doesn't realize that Kai the entire time was slowly getting on to him. It's because he hasn't fully learned how to actually hide his intentions in the way that he should as a shinobi. So I thought that that was a nice growing pains situation right there, where Kawaki is focusing on the assassin, but he's also not keeping in line with the other part of his mission, which is to maintain his cover and make sure Kai never figures out. And essentially somebody that's not really a shinobi ended up being outdone by somebody who isn't a shinobi either, but is attending a shinobi school, and she has some of those traits. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see that. So the episode after the infirmary scene shifts over, and you see the academy students are getting ready for a big play. They're all in their outfits and everything, dressed up for the play on the legendary signing, and that's where you get your first sign that something's wrong with Hana sensei, because Hana is yawning and, you know, she's got headaches and everything because she's been up all night, and she says it's because she was making preparations. So you're seeing more signs like, oh, Hana's actually the assassin. They're pulling a Sumire from the academy arc, where Sumire was pretending to be one thing, and then you find out that Sumire was actually the one that was behind all the New Way attacks. And I thought that they kind of telegraphed that pretty easily in this. And you have this moment where even Himawari is looking at it, and Himawari is like, there was an attack on Kai last night, wasn't there? That's why you weren't at home. That's why you went to the infirmary. You see more of Himawari's sharp intuition. And what I like here is that as they begin getting the festival underway, it just lets you know early on that for all the feel-good vibes that you're getting, things are going to heat up towards the end of the episode. And that's essentially what happens, because you see all the people flooding in for the festival, and they got all these pop-up shops, and you have moments where Boruto and the other members of the generation are going to different shops. You have Boruto and Sarda in a little bit of a pissing contest because they're doing the kunai throwing and they're trying to win the different prizes. Sarda's cutting on her Sharingan while doing so. Denki, Awabe, and Metal League go to the haunted household, and they end up getting completely scared and everything. They're using ninja tech inside the household. You're seeing little small things make you think, okay, that we're actually going to see the play take place. And as this is going on, Kawaki's watching everything and he's trying to figure out what the assassin's next move is going to be. And what we end up finding out is that just as the play ends up taking place and you start to see them preparing for it and Kai's getting ready to go on stage, the attack suddenly gets timed with that. Another sign that it's potentially Hana who's behind this, because just before the play takes place, Hana has to go to the infirmary suddenly. Now all of a sudden there are paper bombs all across the academy and the teachers have to work with Boruto's generation to defuse the paper bombs. The paper bombs are placed in a way to where they're all scattered all throughout the academy training grounds and the different sections of the academy. You're seeing little small things to let you know, like, the whole purpose of this was to keep the more skilled people preoccupied, all while creating the deception. The deception behind this is that the paper bombs are put in some very easily recognizable places, but there's so many of them that it was going to take time to defuse all of them, even with Boruto's generation helping things out. And so what you end up seeing is that after this takes place and they begin defusing the paper bombs, Eke and the other kid who was part of Himawari's team when they did the training exercises before they enter into the academy, they find more of the paper bombs, and Eke really starts showing that he's actually a skilled shinobi, even though he's a bit of a simp. And the way he does this is he lives up to his clan lineage as being part of the Fuma clan, because he finds the paper bombs and instead of getting worried and backing away, he actually ends up taking the paper bombs off, and he does so staying cool and calm and collected. And the reason why it's kind of big is that when you look at the paper bombs, they're not the easiest to take off, especially while they're still active. And the fact that he kept a cool head and was able to actually pull that off, that's good. Because if you go back to what you saw in some of the filler from Naruto Shippuden, the thing that you see with the paper bombs is that once they get to that point, it's so difficult that even some of the more skilled tuning, they can't detonate the paper bombs once they've already begun the process of being interlinked and beginning to go off. And so they go ahead and they detonate them because that's the easiest route to take. This kid was able to see the paper bombs and start removing the ones that hadn't begun to actually explode. So I thought that was kind of cool to see that, you know, Boruto's team and just the other people in Boruto's class make it look easier than it actually is. It actually takes quite a bit of skill to do that. So I thought that was a nice moment to actually show Eke shining for a bit and to start the process of redeeming that character. Now, what ends up happening there is that Kawaki learns that, okay, there's paper bombs directly behind the school building, and so the first deception was the ones all around the academy that take care of the Jonin and it takes care of Boruto's classmates, but the other diversion was that you have the one directly behind the school building, and that ultimately forces Kawaki to leave, and Hana just happens to show up and says, oh my god, Kawaki went, I gotta go save him. It gives her a perfect excuse to get out of there. Kawaki ends up taking the paper bomb. He uses the shadow clone jutsu. He takes a page out of Boruto's book. Kawaki takes the paper bomb, goes up in the air with it, launches his shadow clone, and the shadow clone disperses. The bomb blows up, and just when that happens, the ninja assassin goes into the training ground, goes right for Kai. Himawari ends up cutting on Byakugan. She ends up saving Kai. They end up running out of the way. There's smoke bombs and everything that's gone off. Kawaki ends up showing up after Himawari and Kai get out of there. You have Kawaki begin to start engaging the ninja assassin. They get into a kunai battle. The ninja assassin quickly realizes that they are outmatched. They begin running, which again, that makes sense because so far in this arc, Kawaki has been one-shotting everything that's gone his way. He ain't really got into extended fights. And I've seen people complain like, why is Kawaki in here? Why am I watching One Punch Man? And it goes back to the thing you gotta keep in mind. Kawaki right now is strong enough where if he starts fighting seriously, these are academy level threats. If he starts fighting seriously, he could mess around and kill somebody. You don't want him struggling with something down at this tier, because if that happens, you're gonna complain about the power scaling. It makes no sense. He was able to do X, Y, and Z against Garo. He was able to do this when Ishiki was doing X, Y, and Z, and he took on Boro. Why is he having trouble with a summon summoning animal? Why is he having trouble with gaining using fire release? That's why you saw him one-shot everything. That's why as soon as he locked his eyes on this ninja assassin, began to start throwing kunai and it looked like things gonna get physical, that assassin got out of there, which means it's likely Hana because she's already seen the strength difference. That's what you want. You don't want anything super advanced because it's not going to make any sense. So I thought that when you saw that fight, it kind of played up the difference between Kawaki and a real shinobi, because what you saw here is that this assassin realized, I can't beat this guy in a head-up fight, so what I need to do is rely on outsmarting him, and that's what the assassin did. The assassin took off running, knew that Kawaki was beginning to get annoyed and start closing the distance, and as Kawaki began to speed up, that assassin jumped in the air to put distance between them through the kunai. The kunai had paper bombs on it that slowed Kawaki in the process, and the way that the kunai were thrown, it was thrown at some of the buildings in the area in order to create more debris. That way the debris creates the smoke clouds on top of the explosions, and the debris falling is enough time to get out of there. And by the time that Kawaki sees that the smoke's cleared and he's checked on Kai, that's when he sees Hana underneath all the debris, very similar to how Sumire, after there was an attack, ended up being the one that was underneath some debris. It really feels like that's the route that they're going. They're doing another Sumire thing. Now I will say, one of my patrons, Chibi Itachi, in the Patreon Discord server, made a really good point. I'm actually going to read their comment all the way through here. Normally I keep these conversations private, but this is a really good one that I'm going to go ahead and read up on screen. So Chibi Itachi said, the way that Hana acted in this episode gave me the slight feeling that we are actually going to get a twist hidden in the first twist. It's quite obvious at this point that Hana is the assassin, like how she was tired from lack of sleep because she probably waited all night till they finished their work to get the drop on Kai. But I also think she might not even know herself that she is the assassin that is supposed to kill one of her students, and that she is actually under control of a genjutsu that gives her some kind of a second personality she's unaware of, since we know from Naruto/Boruto that you can actually pull something like that off with genjutsu, like this dude Yuruto during the Mitsuki arc that fought Udon's team. What will also fit in well in one of Naruto/Boruto's overall theme of seeing the trick hidden behind the trick, and would also give more meaning to the conversation of these people at the end of episode 266 when they said that they got an assassin in a way that the Leaf would never predict it, not only by letting the assassin in as a teacher like we all thought, but also in a way that the assassin himself doesn't know that she is an assassin. What makes the whole plan more foolproof? Obviously the whole stuff with her headache or being trapped in the rubble could just be an excuse to get suspicion off of her, but I want to throw that idea out because that would be a great twist to that whole Sumire reveal. And I'll say, you know, if that ends up being the case, that makes a lot of sense. Like if she's got that headache might be her realizing stuff about the genjutsu. Of course, if that was the case, she could just do the release, but you don't know the specifics on that jutsu. So it is one of those things where like that would make more sense and I'll be happier with it than this goes the route of Sumire where, you know, she was contracted for this and she ends up getting an attachment to her students, can't go forward with it, yada yada yada. Find out she becomes an academy teacher at the end, completely reformed, and she's a valuable asset to Konoha after. I might throw up a little bit in my mouth if that happens. I know Naruto's really big on parallels. I wouldn't be a big fan of that, but the way that my patron put it for their idea, I think that makes more sense. And I hope that's the route that this goes. So my episode question to you guys is, do you guys think that the assassin is Hana? And how do you guys feel about Kawaki essentially getting outsmarted by Kai into revealing the truth about himself? Well, you think that over, click here to watch my top 5 Devil Some Chainsaw Man video, or click here to watch the Boruto chapter 73 review.